Hey guys, Bill Cimentel here from the Thebbztv. I'm getting so many emails and questions about what's the best reel to use for throwing the big baits. And I'm going to preach this to you time and time again. It's a Shimano. It's a bigger reel. And there's some reasons why. The biggest thing is you got to remember, guys, you're throwing a big bait. It's got a lot of energy, a lot of weight to it. And if you buy a reel that's not capable of doing that, you're just wasting money. I would save your money. I would spend $400 on a reel that's going to last me 10 years, or maybe you a lifetime, than spending $100 on a reel and have to replace it every year. And in 10 years, you're at $1,000 instead of $400, and you're going to still be able to catch fish with it. There's a lot of other reasons too to use a bigger reel when throwing a swim bait or a big bait, and it's all about the cadence. It's all about line retrieval. How much line are you bringing in per revolution? There's no way I'm going to be able to do this in 2 to 3 minutes. It behoove you to watch this video a little bit. I'm just going to show you one specific reel. That's going to be the Shimano Calcutta 400 TE. I put 25-pound test Maxima mono, the ultra green, on it, and there's a reason. And understanding the difference between monofilament, fluorocarbon, and braid line diameters is the biggest factor. That's where it comes down to it. I'm going to show you the cadence. This is the difference of understanding why some guys can catch fish better than the others, is understanding how fast you're bringing that bait in. It doesn't matter if you're almost dead sticking it to using a 7.2 and burning it in. Is the diameter of the line and how much you could put on the reel, depending on the distance you're throwing and bringing it in. That's the biggest factor. So here's the thing right here. We're going to be looking at the Shimano Calcutta 400. Okay, and this reel I've had for, my gosh, a lot of years. I think it was all the way back to like 2006. I'm still using it right now. One of the other reels I'm using also is the Shimano 300E. And the biggest thing is this reel, I'm spooling it up with 25-pound test max. On the 300, it's going to be 18-pound max. If I put 25-pound max on this reel, my cadence, when I throw this bait out and bring it in, my cadence is going to have a more drastic change from slow to fast than with the 400. And that's the biggest deal. And I'm going to show you right now what I'm talking about. Okay guys, here's the thing about a cadence. Here's the easiest way. I'm going to take a marker. My lure's at my rod tip. I got a full spool of 25-pound test max. I'm going to mark the line right here with a black dot, and I'm going to take one revolution, come around, and I'm going to mark my line again. That's the first one. Okay, when I bring that mark out, here's my first mark right here, and my second mark is right at my eye tip. Okay, that's one revolution. If I take a ruler, I measure from here, there's 12 inches to this spot. And this one, I got 10 inches. So I got 22 inches. 22 inches I'm bringing in on one revolution. And that's when I'm with the full spool. That's when this bait is at my rod tip. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna come up here, we're going to take a cast as far as you can throw it, and that's a cast for me. This is how far down my reel is right now. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to mark this line right at this reel. There's the first mark, and I want to do one revolution right there. I'm going to mark it again, and before I even bring that lure in real quick, and I know it might be a little bit windy for you guys, but I got to show you this. I'm going to free spool this till I hit my mark. My mark is right here at the reel. My second mark is right here. So we have There's 12 inches right there. And then we're going to bring this up, we're going to tighten the line. And now we're right about, say, 8 inches. So now we have 20 inches. Here's the biggest thing, guys. 20 inches. When I start bringing this in and I start reeling it, what I'm talking about when I'm slow rolling it, one revolution, I'm bringing in 20 inches, almost 2 foot, almost 2 foot, almost 2 foot. If I had a smaller capacity reel, the difference is I might be only doing 18 inches, and at full spool I might be doing 26. I might see a difference of a foot or two for my cadence. That's the difference. So if I had a smaller spool reel and I wanted to keep the cadence the same, I have to reel this slow when it's out there, and I might have to reel it this slow when it's at my rod tip. Remember, now that I'm getting closer, I'm probably at 21 inches of line retrieval right here, and then right here at my rod tip, now I'm coming in right here, I'm looking at 22 inches per revolution. Okay guys, right there it shows you why I use the Shimano Calcutta 400 with the big baits. Is at my furthest cast out, I'm going to be bringing in approximately 20 inches per revolution. When I'm right at my rod tip, that distance of me bringing it in, that cadence is only changing by about 2 inches. If I turned around and I put 25-pound test on the 300 and try to use the same bait, my retrieval, the difference on this could be anywhere from 30 inches right at the reel, and when I throw it way out there, I might be bringing in only about 15 to 18 inches. So that different speed, that different cadence is huge in finding that one nugget of information, that one piece that those big fish are targeting. Here's the best example. The guys that are using trolling technique, they have a constant speed at a constant depth. When they find those fish, it's lights out, man. They're on them. They go right back through the same area. They go to the same depth and the same speed. It doesn't matter if it's a half mile an hour, 1.2, 3, 6, it doesn't matter. The speed, the cadence was the key. It's a lot of times the triggering. There also is times that the bait itself, the bait has a cadence that it works the best at. If I took the Shimano Corrado and put 12-pound test line on it, and I threw a Little John DD, at my furthest cast out, I'm going to be bringing it in at a certain speed. There's going to be a certain time within that retrieval when I'm bringing it into with the reel that it's going to kick and swim the best. If I could time that where it's hitting the structure and cover at the right timing, at the right speed, that's where, man, it's magical, and that's where you catch so many big fish. And understanding that, that's the key. So when people ask me what's the reel I use for big baits, it's the Shimano Calcutta 400 TE. I throw 25-pound test max like 99% of the time. Buy the best equipment you can. It'll last a lifetime. You're not going to have a problem with it. But the biggest thing is understanding how fast that lure, when it hits the water to when it touches your rod tip, how consistent can you keep that speed? Remember, you might have to go faster retrieve on the full long cast, and as you get closer to the rod tip, you're slowing it down, okay? If I turn around, and like I said, if I use the Shimano Corrado 300, I'm using 18-pound test. My lure size, instead of throwing an 8-inch swim bait, I'm going to the 6-inch BBZ. I'm changing that. I know exactly how fast I can bring that bait in anywhere through the water column, from top, middle, bottom, and the speed the key. Just food for thought, and here's what I'm talking about is the cadence, the speed. This is a horizontal presentation. I'm bringing in a bait in at a certain speed consistently through the water column. Doesn't matter if you're slow rolling it or you're speed ripping it, it's the same thing. The guys who flip and pitch, they're doing the same thing, trying to find a cadence that drops from the top, middle, and bottom. So if they threw a 1/4 ounce jig with the Big Daddy pork on it, and they try to get a fall rate that dropped 1 foot every 3 seconds, that is the same type of speed consistently they're trying to do through the water column that I'm trying to do across the water column or doing the pendulum. If they're trying to do a super quick drop, they might be punching a ounce and a half weight through a canopy and dropping it down 3, 4, 5 foot, and the thing is just rocketing through there. That vertical drop on that speed, that consistent speed to the bottom, is no difference than burning a bait across the surface or burning a bait mid-depth. So understanding that, understanding your equipment, buy the best stuff you can get out there, guys, and it's going to last you a long time, and that's going to make the difference of catching bigger fish. So you guys understand, one last thought, if I used a Shimano Chronarch 100 with 10-pound test max at full spool, just throwing like a jig, if my first revolution, one revolution is 26 inches per crank handle, that means I am pulling that jig across the bottom for every time I turn it 2 feet. How many times have you seen a crawdad scurry across the bottom 2 foot at a time? So that's the thing, is understanding the bait itself, how fast that bait will move, understanding the characteristics of where you're fishing, how you're fishing, and how the fish actually are looking at baits for them to be triggered. Man, that could be all the difference of putting a big sack in the boat and catching a monster. I hope this little tutorial helps you. Go out there, take your rods and reels, put line on it, figure out how fast it's going across the water, and man, it's going to make a huge, huge, huge difference.